So, what exactly is evolutionary astrology? And I want to talk about just briefly the heart and soul of what it really means to embrace this lineage and why it's a little different from the others. So, firstly, evolutionary astrology is considered a modern practice, modern in the way that we think about evolution, that things change and evolve and become something different over time. So, therefore, the way that we do calculations and chart analysis also evolves with the process. So, we have different ways of looking at things. After all the years of research, what have we gathered, right? And so that's what we mean by modern. We keep incorporating these ancient practices and we're bringing them forward in a elevated and psychological way. So that is the segue into why this is actually quite different than some of the other lineages, and I will list some here. Now, these are all things that evolutionary astrologers still follow. All of these lineages have something in common with each other that add to the juices and the flavors of this pot that we call astrology, and that is our chart. With evolutionary astrology, we are really coming to understand who you are personally, what your soul came into this lifetime to experience, and potentially what you came into this lifetime with. Potential gifts, potential failures, potential energies that you just kind of always feel are around you, and you're wondering, where did that even come from? Astrology can address the whys, the hows, and help you design a way that you can look at yourself introspectively and elevate yourself through consciousness. So, consciousness is usually a word that we use in evolutionary astrology a lot because when we're addressing our pain, when we're addressing things, the shortfalls, the things that feel absolutely terrible, we know on the other side there is some grand plan for us to have a better life and for us to have more elevated perceptions and having better mentalities because all in all, we're really trying to help control our own reactions to a situation. So, with evolutionary astrology, we learn the process of how to let go, learning what we can control, learning what we can't control. And therefore, when we're coming up with different kinds of calculations, we can look to all of those other lineages, like I showed you previously. As a person who has many modalities and tools under our belt, you'll often find evolutionary astrologers that do tarot, that have some other esoteric tools like Reiki, shamanism, psychic awareness, like yoga. We've got real psychologists, doctors, um, educators in all different sectors come to evolutionary astrology to offer more meat to the potatoes, to offer all of these different modern practices that we're really gaining segue on because they work. And we're implementing them into this practice that is soulful based. So if you are looking to dive deep into your soul, then evolutionary astrology is where it begins. And the rest of the world and what we offer with astrology as a group, as a collective of people who are enlightening the world, we all come together to bring all of these things so that we are multidimensional together. One last point, the spirituality essence of evolutionary astrology runs deep. You will find many of us who talk about the intent, who talk about the spiritual grace, who talk about the reasons why we're supposed to connect so deeply. With evolutionary astrology, we really do bring what is the journey of the soul. In my own personal evolution, I have felt that evolutionary astrology has really changed my life. I went from being in a place where I didn't understand what was happening to me. And I had gone through so many tribulations in my life, and they were starting to break me down. I was starting to really fret about what I had gone through as a child, my mom's dynamic, my father's dynamic. I was really dealing with a lot of childhood issues in my mid 30s, and that felt difficult because it felt like I was at an emotional age that should have been different. And so I started doing yoga. I started meditating in my closet spontaneously. And over time, I got led into the writings of Jeffrey Wolf Green. And these writings were so deep and so profound that I thought, wow, some of the language I don't even understand, but for some reason it's connecting and it's hitting really hard. So I started going through many different metaphysical teachings, and I just kept going back to a deeper form of astrology, but I couldn't really find the right people to, because I just didn't know evolutionary astrology was this larger thing that it is today, or even that it was back in 2018. Fast forward, and I become an astrologer on an app, and I decide I really need a practice that's going to teach me the proper ways. Being self taught is wonderful, but as a beginning astrologer, it is really nice to have guidance. So one day I'm listening to another astrologer who I think is fabulous, and he has my teacher on as a guest. And the words and the rhythms in which this person spoke highlighted and spoke to all of the things that I had been ruminating on and dwelling on for the past couple years. And it just made me connect so deeply that I cried. It took me a month to reach out to this teacher. And what unfolded over the next 4 years was an evolutionary journey that I could have never really planned. The whole process was this synchronistic, synergistic experience that was not only this logical explanation to my life, but it really brought more magic. It really brought a lot more of the unexplained world to my viewpoint, and it allowed me to see that, like, I'm allowed to, and I am a part of this magic. So through the process of learning my own chart and through going to a real teacher that taught me how to process and how to look at things in a depth-oriented way is why I feel that this lineage is the first lineage to come to, and one that you will keep coming back to over and over, because it just makes sense, and because it deals with the deeper centers of who you are. So don't forget to come back. Take care. I hope you love evolutionary astrology and what it offers to you. Please, in the comments, share anything that you like, love about this practice. And where's your Pluto placement?